Malcolm Young, the brother bandmate and soul of AC/DC, is gone forever. But the secrets never before revealed about Malcolm's final days and Angus's overwhelming grief have only just begun to surface. Behind the dazzling stage lights lies a story of lost time's betrayal and a silent personal battle. The revelations from Angus Young himself will lead fans to rethink the true legacy of a musical legend. During the final years of Malcolm Young's life, Angus Young, both his younger brother and longtime bandmate, remained by his side along with Malcolm's wife, forming a solid protective circle around him. In his first public interview about Malcolm's passing, Angus described the private funeral held at St. Mary's Cathedral in Sydney, attended by family and a few close friends, including well-known names such as Bruce Springsteen. He emphasized the importance of preserving Malcolm's privacy during his battle with illness, and also shared the emotional moment when he personally carried Malcolm's guitar during the farewell ritual. According to Angus, the bond between us was the one thing that could never be broken, reflecting the profound closeness and enduring love he held for his brother. Ellen Young's, Angus's wife, has been widely recognized by many sources as the rock that helped him through the most difficult time. Though there are no direct quotes, numerous articles and interviews highlight her role as the pillar of strength in Angus's personal and emotional life, as he endured a long period of sorrow and isolation while witnessing Malcolm's decline. Angus also shared moving memories of his final moments with Malcolm. He recalled that even as his brother's memory faded, the sound of a guitar would still make Malcolm smile and try to follow the familiar rhythm. The hardest part wasn't death, Angus recalled. It was watching Malcolm grow weaker each day, but in the end he passed away peacefully, surrounded by those who loved him. From the time Malcolm fell ill until his death, Angus rarely appeared in public, focusing solely on touring and family. Between 2014 and 2017, he made only around 10 to 15 public appearances, mostly to address Malcolm's health and rest. After his brother's passing, Angus gradually increased his interviews, especially during the lead-up to the 2020 release of Power Up, making over 20 public appearances. All of this not only reveals the hidden side of a musical icon's life, but also reflects the bonds of family resilience and the quiet sacrifices behind the brilliant lights of the stage. But the story of Angus and Malcolm did not begin with loss. It began with something humble and enduring, where the very first foundations were laid through brotherhood and a burning drive to create. The foundation of a legend. The journey of Malcolm Young and Angus Young did not begin on grand stages or with billion-dollar hits. It all started in a cramped house in Burwood, Sydney, where the Young family restarted their lives from scratch after leaving Cranhill, Glasgow in 1963. Margaret Young, the deeply respected matriarch, worked tirelessly to support her 8 children and was also the greatest source of inspiration for Malcolm and Angus's love of music. She once saved every penny she could to buy them their first guitar. It was a second-hand acoustic, and to Angus it symbolized the beginning of everything. I started out with a banjo, which I modified into a 6-string so I could practice with Malcolm, Angus once shared. Each evening, the small house would echo with guitar sounds, always accompanied by the family dog, the loyal audience at every practice. Their eldest brother George Young, already successful with the easy beats, pitched in by helping his younger brothers buy equipment and offering advice on music. Young's first guitar was a cheap acoustic model purchased second-hand by his mother, is a detail frequently mentioned in interviews about the family's roots. For Malcolm and Angus, financial hardship never dimmed their drive. Instead, it strengthened their determination and unbreakable bond. From their teenage years, the two brothers formed a special connection, constantly rehearsing together. Malcolm once described Angus as a soulmate, while Angus humbly admitted, "I'm not even the best guitarist in my own house." It was more than modesty, it was absolute respect for his older brother. The way they collaborated, supported each other, and shared every step in their musical journey laid the unshakable foundation for what would later become AC/DC. In 1973, after gaining experience in smaller bands and drawing strong inspiration from George Malcolm, decided to form a rock group, bringing in his younger brother Angus. The name AC/DC came from the label on their sister Margaret's sewing machine, a symbol of high voltage and unstoppable energy. Angus, only 18 at the time, was chosen by Malcolm to play lead guitar, while Malcolm took on the steady rhythm role. They began performing in small bars across Sydney, winning over audiences one by one with their fiery playing style and distinctive look, especially Angus's now iconic school uniform, a nod to his high school days. In 1974, the band hit a crisis point when they lacked a standout vocalist to define their sound. That was when Bon Scott, a singer hardened by years in local rock groups, stepped in. According to Malcolm, Bon Scott made an immediate impression with his daring personality, unique voice, and ability to electrify a crowd. Angus recalled, "The moment Bon started singing, we knew we'd found the missing piece." With Bon Scott, AC/DC underwent a dramatic transformation. Starting in 1974, they released their first recordings and debut albums High Voltage and TNT, quickly making waves across Australia and paving the way for European and UK tours. In 1980, Angus married Ellen Van Lockham. Ellen's role extended far beyond being a supportive partner. She provided the emotional stability Angus needed to weather every storm. Behind every successful man is a strong woman. Ellen was often seen quietly backstage during major tours, making sure everything was taken care of so Angus could focus fully on the music. The young family, from Mother Margaret and Brother George to Ellen, became the firm launchpad offering emotional strength that helped Malcolm and Angus rise above every obstacle. During this period, a spirit of frugality and ingenuity always remained. Angus once built an amplifier using old parts, and everyone contributed in their own way to turn the dream of music into reality. The warmth of the young household was the glue that held everything together and formed the core identity of AC/DC. It is no coincidence that Malcolm later said, when speaking of their path to becoming legends, "I don't need many friends, I just need Angus." All these elements shaped the character and style of the two brothers, making them an inseparable force. AC/DC was built on the foundation of brotherhood, resilience, and an unyielding spirit, and that is why no matter how many storms came their way, they kept pushing forward. With that rock-solid foundation, Angus, Malcolm, and AC/DC entered a blazing era. But behind the glory, new challenges and pressures truly began to mount. The rocky road behind the spotlight. AC/DC's success did not come from luck. It was the result of a long journey filled with pressure and a series of staggering blows. The most devastating moment came in February 1980, when Bon Scott, the band's lead singer and spiritual core, died suddenly at the age of 33 from alcohol poisoning, found unconscious in a car just hours after a night of partying. His death shattered the band emotionally. Malcolm Young and Angus Young even considered disbanding AC/DC as the loss felt like losing a blood relative. According to colleagues, it was the darkest time, and no one in the band had the strength to pick up their instruments. The two brothers held private meetings, torn between ending it all or starting a new chapter. After many sleepless nights, they decided not to let Bon Scott's legacy end in silence and began the search for a new voice. That choice opened a new era for AC/DC, leading to the creation of Back in Black, a tribute to Bon Scott and the best-selling rock album of all time, with over 50 million copies sold worldwide, cementing AC/DC's place in rock history. Behind the brilliant stage lights, though, the challenges never stopped. Malcolm Young fell into alcoholism in the late 1980s, reaching a breaking point in 1988 when he stepped away from AC/DC to seek treatment. Malcolm admitted, "I lost control. Things went too far." Olinda Young and Ellen Young became essential pillars, standing by to support Malcolm and Angus through the most difficult period of their careers. The quiet but unwavering presence of these two women became the emotional anchor that helped the brothers stay grounded amid the storm of fame. During this era, AC/DC continued to break sales records and captivate fans across the globe. Their 1981 album, For Those About to Rock sold over 4 million copies, while the Canon Tour drew hundreds of thousands of concertgoers. Subsequent albums such as Flick of the Switch, Fly on the Wall, Blow Up Your Video, and The Razor's Edge all reinforced the band's position, with tours ranging from 85 to over 230 shows per year. The peak came with the Razor's Edge Tour in 1990, which included 236 shows, a milestone few bands could match. Still, the pressure of constant success also meant that the brothers had to confront increasing internal tensions and personal burdens. Malcolm's role in maintaining harmony and resolving conflicts within the band was always highlighted by Angus. With deep respect, no one could hold the band together like Malcolm. After each conflict, they turned back to music, turning private rehearsal sessions into moments of healing and reconciliation. We realized music was the only thing that could fix everything, Angus once reflected when looking back on their journey. At home, despite the demanding lifestyle and many ups and downs, Malcolm and Olinda kept their home in Sydney and raised their children, Cara and Ross, in a peaceful environment far from the spotlight. Angus, on the other hand, had no children of his own, but always considered the members of AC/DC his true extended family. Ellen Young remained a constant source of strength for Angus throughout, helping preserve the group's sense of unity and shared tradition. Under the weight of relentless touring and the pressure to keep delivering, there were numerous times when AC/DC faced the risk of falling apart. But whenever challenges arose, Angus and Malcolm would sit down together, have honest conversations, and do whatever it took to keep the band alive. It was in those quiet moments that the foundation of AC/DC was fortified, allowing them to overcome obstacles and keep their music going strong for decades. But not every storm can be overcome by willpower alone. There came a time when illness crept in, silently changing Malcolm Young's life and career forever. The shadow of fate descends. Starting in 2008, those closest to AC/DC began to notice changes in Malcolm Young. Forgotten melodies and lapses in concentration during rehearsals became increasingly common. Though he still carried his usual calm demeanor, Malcolm was struggling with memory loss, even on stage. During the recording sessions, for Black Ice, signs of dementia became unmistakable, making it impossible for the band and family to keep the truth hidden any longer. In 2014, the final diagnosis was confirmed. Malcolm was suffering from rapidly progressing dementia, and all treatment efforts in Sydney failed to slow the decline. Olinda Young, his devoted wife and constant companion, became Malcolm's final protector. She chose to keep the illness private, to preserve the image of the artist her husband had always taken pride in. That was an incredibly difficult time, not only for Malcolm, but for the entire Young family, as each member had to learn how to confront an unforgiving reality. In many interviews, Angus Young emphasized that the decision to withdraw Malcolm from AC/DC was one of the most painful choices of his life. Malcolm's role on stage and in the studio was irreplaceable. The band had to adjust their tour schedule, shortening the Black Ice Tour to 168 shows, with several performances canceled entirely to allow more time for the members to be with Malcolm. Stevie Young was invited to step in, but for Angus, no one can fill Malcolm's place on stage. In his final days, Malcolm lived at Lulworth House, a specialized care facility for dementia patients in Sydney. Olinda provided hands-on care, constantly looking for ways to bring smiles and a sense of safety to Malcolm as he navigated a world of fragmented memories. According to Olinda, she recognized her husband's decline early on, but chose to remain silent in order to protect his dignity. The Young family unanimously agreed not to release any images of Malcolm's advanced condition, believing that it was the only way to protect his honor until the end. Malcolm often asked for permission to leave the facility just to hear Angus play guitar. To him, music remained the only bridge left connecting him to the world. These were the final moments of a legend, with music as the last remaining lifeline. At the same time, Angus had to face the psychological trauma of losing a bandmate while witnessing his brother's slow decline day by day. Ellen Young continued to be his greatest support, quietly journaling his emotions and always remaining close, helping Angus avoid falling into depression. In every major decision made by the band, the Young family unanimously prioritized honoring Malcolm's memory and image above all else. When Malcolm passed, the news was covered by media outlets worldwide, but the funeral remained entirely private, attended only by family and close friends. Angus quietly carried Malcolm's guitar in farewell, keeping his promise to protect his brother's dignity and legacy to the very end. Malcolm's passing didn't just leave a void in AC/DC, it changed the course of Angus's life and the lives of those who remained. But Malcolm Young's legacy did not end with the sorrow of his passing. From those lingering memories, Angus continued writing a new chapter for AC/DC so that music could remain the eternal bridge between two brothers. An immortal legacy. Angus's silence following the funeral ended only when he poured his heart into Powers Up, a project considered the greatest tribute ever dedicated to Malcolm. In numerous international interviews, Angus affirmed this album is completely for Malcolm. Every riff, every lyric carries his breath. To create Power Up, Angus brought back unused riffs Malcolm had written years earlier. The recording environment remained steeped in tradition. Malcolm's Gibson SG guitar and a framed photo of him were placed with care in the studio, and each session began with a moment of silence, a ritual to honor the late brother. Released in 2020, Power Up immediately debuted at #1 on the US Billboard 200 with 117,000 units sold in the first week and topped the UK charts with over 62,000 copies. It became AC/DC's most successful release in a decade and stood as proof of the band's enduring vitality after Malcolm's passing. Their total album sales surpassed 200 million worldwide, firmly securing the Young brothers' place in rock history. The Power Up Tour from 2024-2025 continued to ignite AC/DC's global fan base. According to international statistics, the band's online streaming numbers rose by 33% after Malcolm's death. Thousands of letters, emails, and messages of support poured in for Angus and the rest of the group. In a message to fans, Angus stated, "I want to thank every fan for being part of the AC/DC family. This community's strength is what keeps me moving forward." In recent interviews, Angus revealed that most of his time outside of music is now spent reading, reconnecting with old friends, taking walks around Sydney, and staying in regular contact with the remaining band members. Ellen Young, who has always kept her personal life private, remains Angus's unwavering support, managing behind-the-scenes details, and helping him maintain a balance between career and personal life. Lately, Angus has also taken an active role in public advocacy, supporting dementia awareness efforts driven in part by his experience with Malcolm's illness. He emphasized that spreading awareness about the disease is a personal responsibility, a way to honor his brother. According to Australian media, Angus has donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to mental health and dementia-related charities in Australia over the past 2 years. Family and band reunions are still held regularly. At every important occasion, images of Malcolm and his old demo recordings are always present, becoming an unspoken tradition that helps everyone stay connected, reflect, and find inspiration. Ellen Young remains the steady presence behind Angus, not only managing logistics, but also preserving the family's traditions and ensuring that the spirit of AC/DC as one big family never fades. Malcolm's influence continues to resonate across generations of musicians. Eddie Van Halen once remarked, "Malcolm Young is the heart of AC/DC." Slash, the legendary guitarist from Guns N' Roses, also stated, "Malcolm completely changed the face of rock." These tributes recognize not only Malcolm's talent, but also the spirit of brotherhood and lifelong dedication at the heart of the Young family. On the Power Up album cover, Angus hand-wrote a message, "You're still my guiding light wherever you are." It was not merely a farewell, it was a promise to keep the legacy alive. AC/DC's powerful return after such a profound loss stands as the clearest testament to enduring strength, unbreakable bonds, and a family spirit that nothing could destroy. If the unwavering journey of Angus Young and Malcolm Young has given you a new perspective on the power of brotherhood and determination in music, feel free to share your thoughts or stories in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss future behind-the-scenes stories of other rock legends. Share this video with fellow rock fans because the inspiration and legacy of AC/DC deserve to be passed on to generations to come.